I went to see him. He said, he didn't want to talk to me. He said, you were in jail. He said like this, jail, Jail. I was just driving and I had a fight with a taxi driver.
I mean, the judge gave you 2 years. It was the most incredible.
He wanted me to be convicted because in the contract, in the agreement, it stated if I had a conviction, he could replace me. You understand? He was my manager as well. And I didn't have a letter. I didn't have nothing.
Eddie, would you like to apologise? Look Bertrand in the eye. Well, welcome back. And here I am. And he is flesh and blood right in front of me. It's Bertrand Gachot.
Whoa!
Welcome, Bertrand, to London.
Nice to see you.
We're recording this podcast. We're international, so we record it all over the world. But we're in the capital of England. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good. Thanks so far. Not sure about this person, but apart from that, it's good.
In case anyone who can't see this, because it's not a TV program, he is pointing at me, and I am very nervous because I'm not sure what anything
So you
would happen
should.
here. Actually, back in London, because this is where it all kicked off from. It started here, didn't it?
Well,
anyway, go ahead. We need to have a bit of a different introduction as to...
Well, look, I think that before we get into discussing Bertrand's career, his time at Jordan, the journey that has brought us all here together as racers, I think it would be good before we get into that to just sort of explain to the listeners who may be new to Formula One a little bit your journey, because you're a bit of a European hybrid, aren't you? You know, if you look on Wikipedia, they say you're Belgian French. Well, you know, what are you? Pick one. You know, I'm Scottish.
My mother was German, my father was French, and I grew up in Belgium. And basically, I was born in Luxembourg, so we were moving around. And basically, it's very difficult for me to have a nationality. And this is really one of the big issues. I never understood the importance of nationality in sport. I really didn't believe that it was such a relevant thing.
So you grew up as a Euro child. Who was the person that got you first hooked to motor racing? Because I remember as a young karter, seeing and hearing your name in the lower formulas, because you had success, but you also had a couple of spectacular crashes that got you on some videos back then, which as a kid, you know, it both excited me and scared the whatnots out of me.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, I was a bit desperate, you know, to be honest. My family was not in motor racing at all, and I just wanted to get there, but I had no money. Every race was my last race unless I would do very well. Or was lucky. So I was a bit desperate. And you know, it was a difficult journey, but very interesting.
What age did you start?
Basically, I had to take a bank loan and I borrowed money from the bank to start. And I was 21.
So you didn't do karting and all the traditional...
I did karting, but very much as an amateur. You know, I just didn't have the money to do it. It was really, I got a friend of mine that was helping me financially. He was 5-time world champion in karting. And I came to his shop and I bothered him so much that one day he said, look, just come with us. I'll look after you, but don't bother me all day. Because all day I was trying to build this kart and I just didn't have the money. And then he gave me the parts to help me. And that's how I started.
So you're in a minority of racers that have come up through without having been, you know, I started karting at 11. We're not that dissimilar in age. A lot of my generation, some before me, if we were talking on previous podcasts about Ayrton Senna, and he did a long time in karting before he came to cars. So I think it's worth noting that you fall into that group with Jacques Villeneuve, Damon Hill, who had no history really in motorsport until you get into cars. So you were learning on the job, quite literally.
Totally. And you know, it's funny, many times I thought to myself, I'm not a real racing driver. I'm like a gentleman driver. You know, I had no physical training. To be honest with you, when I look back, I was really an amateur. But I enjoyed it. And I think sometimes I was fast, depends.
No, I think if you like... The first time, we talked earlier about I had a scout, and obviously everyone, myself particularly, spent the whole weekend for the Formula Ford Festival. And I could be wrong, but I thought you came third there out of about 200 drivers. And I was super impressed because Brands Hatch Club Circuit is very difficult at that time of the year, but very difficult anyway. And then you went into Formula Ford 2000. I think you were the British champion. And that was something that really caught me. And you were a
Big
complete...
achievements.
Huh?
Big achievements.
Massive.
It all sounds as if, when I think of the structure that went into developing my career, and you have had your own racing career, then you've created a team that has then tried to find the best young talents that ultimately led us all to Formula One. You're making it sound as if this all kind of happened just through a bit of desire and by accident.
You cannot imagine the journey. You know, I remember going to races at the festival. You know, I didn't say to people, I would go to the hotel of the friends at night and see them eat. I didn't eat because I had no money. And I would sleep in Harold Huisman, which was one of your drivers' truck. I didn't have a hotel room. And it was tough, you know, but I was so determined. For me, it really was no issue. So I was sleeping in his truck at the festival.
So you basically rags to riches, rags to riches story.
I don't know, but the thing is, it was my dream, you know, and I was very happy. You know, a few years before, I went to see a Formula One race for the first time in my life. And I just, you know how I went there? I had cutters, and I cut the fence to go alongside the guardrail. and I remember when I saw the car, it just gave me a shiver, and I said, this is what I want to do. That's how it started.
Yeah, but it happened very quickly. Now, just mentioned about the Formula, winning the British Championship, was that a big kick on for you to go to Formula 3? Because winning that championship surely gave you... I mean, you went with the top team. You were with West Surrey Racing. You don't go to Dick Bennett's unless you've got a real chance of winning a championship.
No, but I won the British Formula Ford 1600, and then the year after I won the 2000 championship, Formula 4 2000, and then I went to Formula 3 with West Surrey, which was a great team, and Marlboro was sponsoring me, so you know it was really good. But then I met Eddie.
Had you actually earned any money before Eddie tried to take the money off you?
I'm glad he's still smiling, because I'm watching
I'm going to punch him.
I'm slightly guarded here, but anyway.
Look, I think it's important that then, in the context of our listeners understanding that meeting with Eddie and the journey that then saw you end up working together in Formula One, and then we have to obviously go into the events of you know, the brief break in your Formula One career. But what was that first meeting like, and how was it a harmonious relationship you had with him? Was it slightly, you know, shouty? Put us at the time.
Well, you know, Eddie is a very soft person, very harmonious. You know, when you meet him, everything is easy and smooth. He makes you feel comfortable.
And Mr. Jordan here, what about him?
Yeah. No, so Eddie is always chaos, but it was okay at the beginning. I was very determined. I had Marlboro, something he wanted as a sponsor. Absolutely. So obviously he was very nice. And we got into in Formula 3, which is, you know, one of the lower Formula of Formula 1. He had a very good team, and we were competing, and we really became the main. His team won the championship, and I finished second. And there was many crashes on the way, a lot of hatred.
Yes, I agree.
I remember Spa, where you were nearly in tears because the car was destroyed.
Johnny Herbert. Actually, to be fair, Johnny and you are reasonably good friends, aren't you? Still to this day.
Now we're very good friends. Yeah.
Difficult to be friends.
It's very hard to be friends with him.
Crashing
with Gachot. I mean, come on. But actually, Johnny, that was when
I'm thinking back. My name was Crasho.
But really,
yeah, you didn't know?
No, I didn't know.
Because did you not notice my two drivers I had in Formula One was Crasho and the Crasherus?
Do you remember? I remember Andrea.
I said, Jesus, what have I just allowed myself into here? But anyway, please continue, Bertrand. It's all news. But look, you must tell the people, in case you think it was just all smoke and mirrors, you went to Le Mans, and you are a Le Mans winner. Tell the people.
No, that was an amazing race. You know, we came to Le Mans. We were a little bit the underdogs because we were driving a rotary engine, Mazda, which made that terrible sound like a turbine. Well, terrible, I mean nice. It was really a nice sound.
It was very loud. Wouldn't
very
pass
loud.
The decibels anywhere now.
And the car was just incredible. Extremely fast on the straight. We were reaching 400 kilometers per hour. I don't know how much is in miles. And we won the race.
Well over 200 miles an hour, isn't it? Is it like 240
It was
miles an hour?
scariest.
Yeah,
I tell you what.
you-
Because
and then
you
you
had
have
all
to
sorts
pass
of
people.
vibrations and stuff like that.
And passing people at that rate is ridiculous because should be explained to the people. People think about Le Mans, you know, I've done it. And,
Have you?
Yes, I've done it once, twice. Anyway, when you're travelling down the Mousson
When you
Straight
say
at
you've
that
done
kind
it,
of speed.
you were there as a spectator?
No,
or you
no,
raced?
no. Can you be quiet, you lot? When you're on top of the ground and when you have to pass a car, the problem is you don't realise that the road is actually curved.
And narrow.
It's got
And
the
narrow,
corner.
isn't it? It's unbelievable, isn't
Every
it?
racetrack I've been to is curved.
This
That's
is
the corner, isn't it?
ridiculous because you're on top of the curve, and when you pass someone, you have to move down a bit, and you're afraid that you're going to be just sliding off the road. Is that true?
No, I think it's a lot worse than that because the speeds are incredible. You imagine you're doing 400k and it's a 2-lane. It's not wide, okay? And then you have drivers which have not the same experience. It's the beginning of the night, so it's a bit gray. And I remember passing a car and I came with full speed and I was probably 150, 200 kilometers an hour faster than that car because he started to brake already. He couldn't see very well, probably was a gentleman driver. And I just made a decision. Either pass him right or pass him left. And I just took a gamble and it was the right one. And after that, I said, I don't want to do that race again. It was so dangerous. I knew if I hit the car, it was an airplane crash.
Right, let's bring it up to the present time. I think that we could spend hours sharing stories of the journey towards Formula One, but let's talk about Formula One. You arrive there, you've got your dream opportunity with a great car.
Hey, hold on. We had no idea the car was great. It looked good.
It looked amazing.
It looked good, but nobody knew if the car was going to be good or not.
Okay, so you test the car, and I guess you don't have a lot of experience at that time to actually judge whether it's good or not.
Let me tell you about that because that's really interesting. So first, he put his buddy John Watson in the car to test it because he was Irish and he wanted to play that game. So that was...
Here we go.
Were you pissed off about that?
No, I just thought it was unnecessary, but it was fine. Okay, no problem. Then basically, I got into the car and I'd been racing the year before with Coloni.
Yeah.
Oh, was it Coloni?
Coloni, and which had the Subaru engine. And I remember, so I'd done the whole season. I came in that car, put the seat, and it looked good. And we went, and after 2 laps, I couldn't hold my head anymore. And I kept saying, the G-force is just too much. I can't, 2 laps. And then I realized that this car was a bomb. It was really a bomb. It was incredible fast.
No, just be careful because some people in our language say bomb would be bad. You're actually talking about the car was good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clarity.
So basically the car was incredible and we beat the lap record just straight away. And it was really easy and there was good teams which were there that day. And that really, everybody said we were cheating, obviously, that we didn't have fuel or anything. But we knew we were sitting on something special. Do you agree with that?
I thought in many respects for a team and its first car, I think on reflection, it was the potential of a world. Somebody with a lot of experience and a really top driver, don't get me wrong here, could have had that up fighting for the World Championship.
No. You didn't have an engine. You had an engine for a road car.
We're talking about the car.
Sorry, that engine was useless and you know it.
Well, it was the third.
You see,
Benetton
that's the
had the
problem.
number
He's
one.
just not sincere, you know. The thing, he knew his engine was rubbish.
Okay, gentlemen, let's until at least we get to the end of the podcast
sorry.
because there's a lot of expensive camera equipment here. I don't want you kicking off until the end of the show, and then you can settle any old beefs.
We're talking about the car. How good was the car?
The car was quick. But maybe it was the Ford engine, wasn't the best engine at that time. Manual shift, I guess, rather than semi-automatic. So physically,
I love those. You know,
but
because
tough physically,
no. But you know, the thing is, you just the cockpit was extremely small, and you had to change gear. You know, with the G-force and the vibration and all that. Sometimes you got it wrong, and I got it wrong. The engine would go ping. That was $150,000 for him to pay. Oh no! And he hated that.
I've every right to hate that.
On the radio, I could hear
people at home listening. What $150,000 for buzzing an engine? You were such a dick.
It was terrible. The car was too small, so I just couldn't fit. And basically, sometime it happened that we blew up an engine. And the engine worked. That's the worst thing. It continued working, but the people at Ford, they said, no, you went over the revs by 20 revs on 14,020 instead of 14,000. Change the engine. And he was crying.
I'd have every right to cry.
Yes.
Because you weren't crying. You were smiling.
I was crying as well.
Okay. Go on.
Well, let's move this along because we've got a lot of territory to cover. Another point where I guess you were crying in this very city where we sit right now. You're in your Grand Prix career. You've got a brilliant car, but you then find yourself in a situation where somebody disagrees with you and there's a small incident. Maybe you just give us a bit of background to that incident before we get into talking about your loving team principal's reaction and the way he caressed you through that challenging time.
No, this is really something silly. It happened in December, actually before the season. And basically I was meeting Eddie and we were meeting with the board of Pepsi. You remember the people from Pepsi to make the decision on the sponsorship. And I was just driving and I had a fight with a taxi driver. And the fight is I was sitting in my car and the guy came out of his taxi and he wanted to fight. And I just used tear gas and I defended myself.
I think you should say that you did run into the taxi. There was a...
Yeah, he kept brake testing me. So I pushed him a little bit. So I pushed him, but nicely, no damage.
A little tap.
A little tap to just say, I'm here.
Yeah.
And and basically the guy came out of the taxi and he said, I'm going to kill you. And he grabbed me by the tie. And I just didn't even think. I just took the spray.
Defended yourself.
Yeah. And then I went to, the police came. Because I called the police like an idiot because the guy didn't want to get out of the car. The taxi driver went in my car. He said, I'm calling the police. I'm not moving from here until the police comes. So I called it. And then they came and honestly, I went to a police station. Half an hour later, I was gone and I joined the meeting. Do you remember? I joined the meeting half an hour later.
So you thought it was all done. It was all dusted. So
it was all done and dusted. Yeah. And I had a date to appear to a court, which I didn't really understand, a few months later.
Bertrand has no probably willingness to understand that the pain that the team had because it was no one had really an idea. He was going to a court hearing. I had no idea he was getting. I mean, the judge gave you 2 years and it was the most incredible. I said, this can't be real. For what?
Even
2 years in jail.
They kept asking me, why are you in here for? And I said, I used tear gas. And the guy said to me, the other prisoner said, you're joking. I used tear gas on a police officer and I got £150 fine. He said, you must have used a knife. And I said, no. No, it was really.
Do you think it was because of the profile of Formula One, the profile of the sport? They wanted to try and make an example.
100%.
Yeah.
But, I should have prepared for that. And to be honest, I was naive. I really thought that nothing of it. I thought I was going to get a slap on the wrist or a fine. I never thought about that. And I had asked multiple lawyers about it, and they all said the same, because when you read it, but, the thing is, the judge wanted to make an example. He wanted to be the top man that day. I don't know. Just 2 years was tough,
Yeah.
How did you get it down to 2 months? You appealed it.
When I appealed, I got out the same day. And what is amazing, and this is why I have no grudges on it, because after that, the British ambassador to the EU called me and some journalists, and he just said, look, we don't understand what happened. It was a travesty of justice. And he said, you're always welcome in England. And I really appreciated that. Yeah. And also, when I was in jail, I got thousands of letters from people. And, a lot of them was from English people saying what happened.
I think you were very unlucky. I really, really do. And I'm saying that, and I think I've said to you many times, that the judge was, that's why we didn't do anything about a driver. We appealed it straight away, if you remember.
I like the we. If I didn't hear about somebody, it was him, zero.
Well, he didn't reach out to you and offer
No, he was my manager. Do you understand? He was my manager as well. And I didn't have a letter. I didn't have nothing. Not a little postcard, hope you're doing well.
Eddie,
here are some oranges.
Shame on you.
look, we were told not to write to him in the Nick because it's all searched and it's not seen and they don't see it. So
Yeah, but you were his manager as well as the team principal, team owner.
how
of
can
the
I be
team.
manager when I had Michael Schumacher in the car?
Well,
I was trying to keep him permanently. I was hoping that the warden would keep him in there.
You see, for the first time he admits it. I knew it.
It took some time, but here we are. Well, this is like a session to help clear out the past, remove all those bad feelings. Eddie, would you like to apologise? Look, Bertrand,
For
in the
what?
eye.
I didn't spray the taxi driver. I
Sending
didn't.
him grapes in prison. Anyway, you got unlucky. I've got to ask you, because I imagine like a British prison, it must be like this lovely suite we're sitting in here at the Kensington Hotel. Is it really comfortable?
No, it's better. It's better. No, it's better.
The hotel or the prison?
No, the prison is better than here. Come on.
Really?
Yeah. No, look, it's tough. It's tough, and it's really a. Honestly said, if you want if you think of justice, and if the justice is there to hurt people and punish them, it's doing a good job. Now, if it's to help people or to bring them, give them another opportunity, I don't think it's a great job. And I think there are way too many people in prison, in my view. And I'm not really woke or something. I just think that it was very sad to see a lot of people which were young that spent time there. And, the problem is when you come out of the prison, it's a spiral, that drags you down. You lose your house, you lose your friends, you lose your job. It's not easy. And I just think there must be better ways than that. It was on a human side, it was an amazing experience. And I met some very, very interesting people. Some obviously not, but I would say that the vast majority were just people which were at the wrong place at the wrong time. And really, this for me it was an incredible experience.
I really respect that you share that with us, and I think that
it's important to know.
Yeah, and it's a much bigger and broader conversation than what we're here discussing today. That maybe we can come back to at another point, because for most people they'll never know what that experience is like, and obviously we're slightly tongue in cheek about it now after all these many years. But I think you do touch on how do you give people a second chance? How are some people convicted of something that the punishment doesn't necessarily fit the crime, and the various issues that you say come off the back of that? Eddie, did you ever spend any time behind bars? Or did
he
you
should
always...
have. If anybody, he should have.
Can you please have some respect here?
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
In moving things along, and I do feel slightly guilty that we're sort of skipping stones here to get to the point where the difficulties that you experienced also brought us a name of someone that was known in sports cars, was known coming up through the lower formulas, but no one really knew Michael Schumacher until he stepped into your car in Spa. There you are, unable to be in the car. He didn't even make it to turn 4, but a career was born.
Yeah, and I must say, I have a lot of respect for Michael and what he did, and also for him as a man, because when I came out of jail and I came to the Japanese Grand Prix, I went to see him. He said, he didn't want to talk to me. He said, "You were in jail." He said like this, jail, Jail. That's
Were
it.
you amazed he could spell?
So, he said it like that. Immediately, Michael came to see me and he said, "Bertrand, I wanted to say anything I can do is really sorry for what happened." And it was really, I was touched. The other thing, and I know you're good in history, but the Grand Prix before Spa was Hungary, where I raced. And we changed something radical on the car. It's a long story to explain, but the car was understeering a lot. It was extremely fast in fast corners, but in slow corners, you just couldn't get around the corners. You just really... And we changed something dramatic. We put the rear suspension on the front, or in the shocks, basically. And it transformed the car. So we went in the warm-up in the Hungarian Grand Prix, and I drove and I saw P1 on the board. And I thought, well, they're taking time to shape. And I said, the car feels good, though. It's nice to drive, I said, I have less understeer. And then P1. And the whole session, we were P1 until the end when Prost came with the spare car with no fuel, so it was different. And he got the best time. We finished second. And that day, we realized that we had a car which really finally was going to work well. And the engine handicap in Hungary was not so big. So in the race, I did the lap record, which I just want to say because the car was incredible. And when I left Hungary, I said to the team, you will see, at Spa, I'm on pole. With this car, at Spa, I'm on pole. And, you know, Formula One is not like Formula Ford or Formula 3. When you have an advantage and you know about it, you know, once you're in a good car, you know you're going to win. You pretty much know where you're going to be. And I was very confident. So when Michael got into the car, and I don't want to take away anything from this great champion, but the car was amazing.
The calm, I know there's a lot of water has gone under the bridge since those moments, but you seem very much at peace with not only your early career, the difficulty of the journey to Formula One, but then what happened there that, you know, I think there would be an element inside me that would be going, what if, what could have been?
Yeah, obviously I have that, but you know what? Life is so complex and so many things happen that you don't control. I could have been dead many times. You know, we took a lot of risks in those days, you know it. And I'm not going to go there bitter. I enjoy every day. I have beautiful family, I have fantastic friends. And
sorry, why are you looking at
for the
me?
listeners, he just pointed at Eddie there. I'm not sure he's included in the fantastic
that was a bit
friends.
sarcastic. I have an amazing life. Why would I complain? You know, the thing is, I was in the plane a few years back now with Damon Hill, and we were laughing, you know, because we were in the lower formula together, and I said, you know, amazing, you won so many Grand Prix, you've done so well, and he said, but you know, you too, and I said, yeah, I'm happy because I'm alive, I'm good, you know, and life is still fantastic. I didn't achieve my ambition, but I had fun. I drove the best cars. It was amazing. So why should I be bitter, you know? And who was I to say, you know, I'm the best in the world and all that?
Well, I love that, and I do, and I've got a lot of time for you. If we can just take it off track for a moment and share a story with our listeners before we come back to EJ, who can contemplate being nice to you rather than going J-A-L-E. No, J-A-I-L. Oh, you look. Anyway, let's take a little story. We're in Australia, and if I remember correctly, I think Michael and his family were at the same location where we were all staying. Either ahead or after the Grand Prix in Adelaide, as it would have been in that time. We were in Cairns and we were hanging out. I think actually Andy Stevenson, one of the guys who was with you all the way through Jordan, he's now team principal at Aston Martin, was there. And we went to this bungee jumping place, not with Michael, but we went, Bertrand, myself, and a few others. Johnny Herbert was there as well, and they would tie this bungee around your ankles. Now Johnny's ankles are held on by chewing gum, so I don't recall how his jump went. But I've got to say for Bertrand, it was around the time the French government were testing nuclear weapons under the ocean in the Pacific or whatever the ocean is down there, and the person who was at this bungee jumping place, and it was over water, heard his accent and assumed he was French. And we're all standing there. Bertrand's getting ready to jump. They ask him as he's tying the rope, do you want to go in the water or not? He says no. As Bertrand jumps, the guy turns to us and goes, yeah, he's French. I've put an extra meter on the length. So, of course, he goes straight in the water, comes out.
It goes in your nose.
Yeah, exactly. He's upside down, and I assume it's swearing in French. I don't speak French, but he's in an elevated voice and blah, 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 sacre bleu or whatever you say. And anyway, you were not at all happy with this guy. And as you're jumping, I said to him, he's not French. He's of German, Belgian, Luxembourg. I didn't know all your nationalities, but you get stitched up there.
No, but what is funny is we jumped, the three of us, you, Johnny, and me, and after that we were drained. We came back to the hotel room and we were just lying down, like we'd smoked something, we're just lying down and we were drained. It was such a scary event, or I don't know.
It was.
I remember really scary.
Jumping.
You jumped first.
I jumped, and I hadn't actually. I was so kind of taken by the situation, I didn't check if the guy had tied the knot. So as I'm jumping head first, I'm going, this could be the last jump of my life.
And you're there and you say, why am I doing this? I don't need this.
As well,
why am I jumping off this bridge for no reason? It's.
I reckon if EJ went and did a jump, they would
No, he wouldn't
definitely
jump.
not tie the knot, would they?
No, I'm trying to figure out what would happen if I went to tie his rope. Would you be happy about that, or would you have checked it?
I would not be happy. 100%.
Go on, David. You were doing a great job here.
I
Keep
will
him
not
away
trust
from
you.
me.
Zero.
I think at that time, though, it was a time where drivers would hang out with each other and go to different places and enjoy a few days. I think Formula One has changed a lot.
It's not like this anymore?
No, I think there is a camaraderie, a travelling group of drivers that go to Grand Prix on their private aircraft. But I'm not sure that the sport allows, with 23 races, allows them the time to go and spend a week having a vacation. As we mentioned, Michael was there with Corinna and the family, hanging out by the pool, bit of training, bit of social, and then you go to the next Grand Prix. I think the intensity of Formula One now doesn't allow that. I'm keen to sort of a few rapid questions, if I can, because I just think that your journey of life has been remarkable, and I would like to get on to post-career, the success you've had in business. But if I take us back to the racing world, proudest moment in racing as a race driver?
Wow, I didn't think of that one. Probably winning Formula 4 2000 races there, because I love that racing. That was tough. Everybody had the same car, same tires, and we were racing. It was really tough. I was racing with a guy called Mark Blundell.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's your friend.
We know Mark.
And
know Mark well.
he who was a tough competitor. We had a lot of fun together. We hated each other at the time, but yeah.
It's interesting that you reflect on a previous championship to Formula One. I remember Ayrton would reflect on karting as some of his purest racing
Really?
and happiest times.
I didn't know.
There's something about when we're in the throes of growing our careers that somehow the innocence and just the purity of the racing is so pleasurable. I don't know for you, EJ, would you say running your lower Formula teams?
Of course. Beyond any doubt, the highlight of what as running a team was, you talked about Johnny Herbert, that era. It kick-started in 83 with Martin Brundle, and then it went on, and the real breakthrough was Maurizio Sandrosala, 86, and then of course winning the championship. But that was the start. Once you're able to win a championship, you feel that inner belief that Johnny Herbert brought to us, and then we won the championship with Jean Alesi. Martin Donnelly was an outstanding driver. He was in the mix there at that stage. So there were some absolute real stars. And for me, there's nothing like, at that time, Dick Bennett's, I always revered him and what he was able to do in Formula 3. But I had a team in Europe as well, and Jordan had eclipsed him we'd won more Formula 3 and more 3000 races than anyone else, any other team at the time. So that was my magic moment. I think Formula 1 it's just all to do, ball breaker, isn't it? It's
Painful at times.
No, the thing is, people often say, which was Spa, winning in Spa first and second, was that absolutely not. The greatest achievement, and I only spoke to Bernie Eccleston about this the other day, he did not give us a chance. He did not believe we would make it past 91. And I say that as far as we were concerned, to survive Formula 1 was way and by far the greatest achievement that Jordan ever did.
Yeah, interesting. Bertrand, you mentioned earlier driving Le Mans over 400 kilometers an hour is quite a adrenaline-fueled moment. But I wonder if there's one single moment, one single crash that was the sort of scariest moment of your career.
Yeah, actually, it was in a Jordan, and I didn't crash, luckily. But we were in Imola, and where Roland Ratzenberger had his crash, and maybe you don't remember, probably you won't. But the rear suspension failed on the straight, and I did a 360 at 327 kilometers per hour, we saw on the telemetry. And in those days, we were not protected, so the air would come in the helmet. And my helmet took so much air when I went sideways that
it came off.
I was bleeding here. The strap hurt me so much. It was such a violent thing. I couldn't see anything. So it was not driving talents that I had fixed the car. The car went back straight. And that was a really scary moment, because I knew that, I was out of control. It was just luck.
Yeah, well, motor racing is dangerous. It says it on the ticket. But I think that there was no question that era that we were all coming up through, was a pretty raw period for motor racing. Thankfully, there's a lot more safety. Actually, I'm interested to know your view on this, because my view is, of course, I don't want to see anyone get injured in life and in motor racing. But equally, if you step in a boxing ring, you can't expect not to get punched and it to, at some level, hurt. So I don't resent or fear or anything the period I raced, where you mentioned, our shoulders used to stick out of the car. At the end of a Grand Prix, my shoulders would be covered in brake dust and oil. But it never felt like we were doing something particularly dangerous or scary. It just felt that's what we were doing at that time.
Yeah, but I think that the times have changed. What we did then was acceptable. Today would not be acceptable. And, think of how many of our friends have gone. And, it's you have to look at it. The times have changed. It's not acceptable. The risk level. I can give you examples which are crazy. I drove for Onyx, which was in 1990, unfortunately a long time ago. But when we put the qualifying tires on for the first time, and I'm not kidding you, I'm telling you the truth, we put the qualifying tires for the first time. I went in the corner. When they got hot and they got the grip, I turned, my whole steering rack ripped itself out of the monocoque.
We can laugh. I'm sure it was a scary moment at the time.
And basically,
must have been some grip.
when that happened, I went back to the pits slowly because the car was going everywhere. The team didn't believe me. They said, "You must have hit a curb." I said, "I didn't have a chance. It's the first time. I was just going out." And when I started to load the thing, it broke. And then Stefan, happened exactly the same a few laps later. Stefan Johansson.
Swedish
sorry.
race driver, yeah.
Sorry.
He's an artist now, isn't he?
Great artist.
We're going to come on to your business in a moment, but anyway, Stefan went out.
Yeah, and basically this was the Formula One those days. It was very, very dangerous. You had mechanical failures which were catastrophic, at those speeds. And today it's unacceptable. It would not happen.
Well,
and the reliability is so much better now as well. But, I think it's important, just if we can park Formula One just for a second, because I think it's important that I should say this, that the fun that we had prior to him signing the 191 Jordan car, and why I was so desperate for him to come to those 600 delegates from Pepsi Cola, because he was outstanding. And I say that in the nicest possible way. He gave me an insight. He was very skilled in a natural way about finding sponsors, being able to structure things. He had a girlfriend who also was very clued into it, and the presentations that you did were very smart and sharp, something that I really hadn't fully understood enough. And I thought that you were a great teacher to me in that respect, that I realised that I had a lot to learn about how to actually deliver the ultimate request to somebody to sponsor you. So I give you credit for that. And you know what? That stood to your test, because now the business side of your business and what you do with Hype, which is an energy drink and other aspects of, and you can go on about your business successes here later in this program, please, because I have to say that Formula One has an ability over most other sports that the people, if they really stay clued in, they become great business people, or they can become great business people. Yeah. And you're the epitome of that. You shine with very strong lights at the forefront. You're always thinking you were a sponsor, and you gave money back to the team. You were a sponsor of Force India, and I'm not sure what you're doing now with that, but please enlarge, because I must say that, the reason I wanted you at that Pepsi day was because I know how good you were.
No, thank you, and I wished you were saying that about my racing abilities.
I'm talking about
but it's okay. I'll take it. No, but commercially, I don't know if I was lucky, but but look, it was my only way to succeed. I needed to be commercially attractive to teams, and that's what it was. I didn't have a rich family or something like that. My parents were very, very good and fantastic, but basically they could not finance this, so I had to find other ways, and I just adapted. I was determined, and I adapted. And basically, I think commercially, I got very lucky. I did some great deals in Formula One, and I enjoyed that. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
And is that something that drove you to, Eddie mentioned there, Hype, an energy drink, which I believe you were the founder of, but you can give us a little bit of background on that. And looking back, was that you thinking, well, here's an opportunity to make some money, and it's become a labor of love, or was it something you sort of tripped and fell into?
No, it's quite incredible because, the first time I drank one of these products was a Red Bull, and I remember we called them the gummy bear. And I tried it and I thought, wow, this is really different. This is special. And then we got approached by a company called Hype to sponsor the team, but they didn't want to pay us money up front. They said, we're going to put it on the cars, and then with the advertisement we're going to get, we're going to develop sales. I say, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
That sounds like a deal that EG would do.
That sounds right out of my top drawer.
So that was a no-go. So basically, I met the people then, and then when I retired from Formula One, I met them again, and I said I wanted to take the distribution for France of their products, and very quickly, I took 5 different brands because I saw that category was growing. And I took 5 different products because I had been a bit informed about this because one of our sponsors was, he was making alcohol beverages. And basically I started to look into this, and I said, this is an opportunity for when I retire. So when I retired, I just went to see the people of Hype, and I convinced them to give me the distribution for France. And basically very quickly, the whole thing, these guys, they were crazy. Like you would expect, and they spend all their money. And I saw opportunity to buy the brand and rebuild it from zero. And what is interesting is in my life, I went to school, uni, and then I went racing driver, and then I did Hype, and this is the only things I know, and I still do it today, and I love it. It's something that is really challenging, and it's extremely difficult because the drinks industry is something very difficult because you have the enormous brands, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, Pepsi, and then you have smaller brands. It's very difficult to survive because it's a business of finances. It's all finances. How much finance you have to finance your stock, your productions. It's very difficult. But we've been doing great, and I must say, I'm very happy. I do it for 25 years.
That's fantastic. Where could I get a can of Hype? Is it on sale in the UK, or is it more Europe or Middle East? Where is your markets?
The biggest market is Middle East, but also South America. And what is interesting is,
South Africa.
Yeah, also South Africa. We produce there. What is interesting is we're gonna, celebrate our first billion can of one product that we make. It's a carbon fiber can, and we did it because of the Formula One history and all that. And we have made now 1 billion. We will do this summer.
Fantastic. That is a brilliant business success story. And also in life, you've got kids. How many kids do you have?
3 kids.
3 kids. One's musical, something very close to EJ's heart. What are the others up to?
I've been really fantastic kids, and so I have a son which is living in Dubai and he's doing business. He wants to move to the US. I have a daughter which is a singer. She lives here in London and between London and Dubai, and she is just awesome. She's extremely talented, and if unfortunately I die today, I know I'm not worried for her future because she really has talent and determination. She's a monster at it. You'll see.
Monster's a competing brand to Hype. I don't think you should mention Monster. Let's pick another one.
Go on.
She's exceptional.
Look, I'm not afraid of competition. I have to deal with Monster and Red Bull every day, but I know that our products are just better. I'm very confident because you know what? I develop.
You believe him, David?
I do.
You're very convincing.
No, but I tell you what. You know why? Because I develop our products like a Formula One car. Constant development. We never stop. I have a team, and we constantly try to improve our products, and we try to make them better. And if they're not appreciated, we change. And I love doing that. And, you know, every day I go in the office and they say, look, we changed this. We're going to add this ingredient. We'll change that. It's going to be better. And, you know, I enjoy doing this. And we design funny, interesting cans. And I love this business.
So let me ask a question, because you mentioned you add different ingredients. So a few episodes ago, Eddie was sharing a story. I believe it was on the podcast, or maybe you were sharing it off air with me personally. But you mentioned Sir Stirling Moss was involved in endorsing a product that would help men who were struggling to... I'm struggling for the words here.
Eddie knows.
Impotent.
I'm sure you know about it.
So could you come up with a product like that for gentlemen of Eddie's age that might need not only a little energy boost, but a little bit of a boost downstairs?
Well, I'll tell you what. In some markets, it is very, very recommended to use such a name. Like we are competing in some African country with a product called Longhorn. And, you know, it just works. It's people buy the product.
Longhorn. Eddie's mentally.
Sorry.
Do you want some?
The scenario, my mind is a blur at the moment, thinking about what exactly is he going to come out with next. I think we need to move on, because what is important, despite every reason why he wanted to kill me and why I wanted to avoid him. You still do?
Yeah.
Wait until after the podcast.
Anyway, I don't want to kill you anymore.
I remember one day we were in the lift, you know, at the summit of our hatred, when really, I really disliked him. We came in the lift together. And it was a small lift in Italy at Monza. Do you remember?
Nope. You're going to remind me, though?
Well, and you know, because I'm taller than him, I went on top of him like this. And I just went like, and he was really looking angry. He was ready to fight. I'll never forget that.
Would you have thrown a punch?
I'll tell you, I'm not laughing at this part of the action. And David, you shouldn't take his
brilliant.
side.
He was very close. But he was scared I was going to do it first.
Well, I was. Man, he told everyone in Belgium. If you remember the race we did in Spa, do you remember the whole track had been covered with "We love Bertrand," "Fuck you, Eddie Jordan," and all these nasty things. And he wasn't even Belgian. You mean the problem was?
Hey, come on.
You're not Belgian.
He's a mix of everything.
The reason why you got such a time in jail, if you really wanted, let's go back to that.
You know why I got nailed? Because I used his lawyer. That's why I got nailed. And you know what? Let me tell you the bottom. The thing is, he wanted me to be convicted. He didn't want me to go to jail, that's for sure. I don't believe. He wanted me to be convicted because in the contract, in the agreement, it stated if I had a conviction, he could replace me. And because the car was so good.
And I had his money.
And because the car was so good, okay, I'm going to punch you before the end. Because the car was so good, everybody was calling him Jochen Neerpach from Mercedes, people from everywhere, from all over the world, they wanted that car, you know, and they were offering a lot of money. And as he rightly said, stupidly, I had given the money that I could bring as sponsorship. I had organized that the payment was done up front because he needed cash. What I did not think is that my manager...
Does this sound familiar?
Yes. Well, what I didn't think was that my manager, which was supposed to look after my interest...
Oh, please, come on. Let's move on. Sorry. Okay. I now need to move this on. David, please, I'm taking over here.
He wanted the conviction so he could get me out of the contract and make money to survive.
Well,
do you remember what the clause said?
You heard it here first.
You brought the team into disrepute by going to jail.
So disrepute was you.
You did that to your own team several times. Every time they played the Spoons, you brought the team into disrepute.
Talking about music and spoons, I must tell you, then roll on this because the kind of uncertainty about the relationship. And then it must be about 5 years ago.
Did you see how he's...
Come on, tell us the story about it. We want to talk about Grace, because you went to great lengths of telling us about the great talent that your daughter has, and she's a great singer. So now I'm going to roll back. I invited you during the summertime for your family to come and eat and break bread with us in Sotogrande with all our kids, and we went from there. So please go ahead and tell us about them. Why did you come?
The first thing I'd say is that with all the hatred between me and Eddie, he's an exceptional character. You know, he's a complete bastard, but you cannot dislike him. That's the bottom line. And you know what I'm saying.
Oh, you can. You can't just let
David
it.
does.
Because he's always funny. He turns it around, and it's difficult. So that's the first thing. And he was different. And, I have to say that I have a lot of respect for what he's achieved, because what he did is absolutely amazing. So I always respected him as a professional. Now, what he did with some of his drivers, I didn't respect. And from a human point of view, I couldn't have done it because I'm not as hard as him.
What?
No, I wouldn't do that. Thomas Danielson, Martin Donnelly, oh yeah.
Please
these
continue.
people you were cruel with. And me, I think I did it more myself. But, I always respected what he's achieved, because to go from where he was, and become a winner in Formula One, absolutely remarkable. You cannot believe how difficult, what are the odds, So I respected that. And I know that's really all. And, after that, I said, why should we keep fighting? We had a little court case and everything. I won, obviously. But, yeah, he had to pay me some money, which he hates.
I did have to pay you money, didn't I?
You did pay some money.
But you went to his family home and met
I went
with
to
her.
Soto Grande, because I thought, why the hatred? Where now it's over.
Water
the war
under
is
the
gone.
bridge.
And basically, we started to chat again, and it was really fun. And he invited me to his family, beautiful home in Soto Grande. And it was great. I came with my kids, his kids, and I thought it was really nice, and it's a story that ends up much better than if we stayed both angry,
And go on, tell us then the situation with Grace in particular, because...
No, but so Eddie is passionate about music. I don't know nothing about music, and I wanted to ask him for advice for my daughter. So I came and said, Eddie, you're one of the best managers I ever known or met, because he knows how to make a deal. And we just started to speak about Grace, and he loved her music, and because he's really passionate about it, much more than motorsport.
I agree.
And he really helped Grace, and I'm really thankful for that. And I just think it's a good conclusion to something. We could have carried on being angry for what?
Yeah. Well, I think Grace is a beautiful name. I think this is a beautiful point to say, Bertrand, thank you so much for taking your time to come here, to share some of the stories. I think this in itself can be the beginning of an 8-part series. There's so many. The truth behind Eddie Jordan, he likes to sort of brush over the surface. But amazing journey, an amazing career. You're an amazing man. Thank you very much for coming here, and meaning I don't have to spend an hour on my own in a room with Eddie. You've definitely brought an energy. I really appreciate it. And well, look, that's it for this week from us. And just left to say that if the listeners can get in touch with the show, and you can get in touch with the show at ffs@whisper.tv, and you can also follow us on social media at F1 for Success. I've said my goodbyes and my thanks, but I feel, Eddie, the last word should go to you.
Well, I think that this... the story which you've told us, we've heard an innuendo about what happened, and coming and bearing your soul in front, particularly with me here, because I wouldn't have expected you to any different, because you're a professional man. What I admire most about it is your ability to put things that hurt you and went against your life behind, because the way you accepted coming to our home and the way we all got on together. And then what's most important was I said I would take Grace a little bit under my wing, and I sent her to London to Luca. And Luca brought her to the studio, and she teaching her about stage presence, about singing, and where the breath. And she was a very young girl. I mean, she's such a megastar. She could be Beyonce. This girl is sensational. And I feel if something was really good to come here, I feel very proud, Bertrand, that it all happened in that lunchtime in Soto Grande. So fingers crossed. I have every belief that she can make it. big time, and what we need to do is to make sure that the right label comes to get an appreciator. I've seen all the videos that she's done, and I think the people, our listeners, will soon be hearing Grace Gachot in full blood.
It sounds like this is a lot more than just hype.
Well, you very much on the case.
Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe
We
EJ.
want to believe it. We want to.
Anyway, Bertram, thank you, and may I shake your hand? Have you still got 5 fingers? 4.
Where's my watch?
Yeah, I think we might need to leave the room. This is going to get emotional between these two.
No, it will never can. But
EJ.
anyway, I appreciate, because not many others would have come in the circumstances. So 100%, you're fantastic for coming here, and it's well appreciated.
Well said.
Thank you, and really nice to be here.
Thank you.